Hi guys, Hayley here from Hayley's Weight Loss Journey. I hope everybody's keeping safe and well at the moment. Today's video, as the title says, is going to be a question and answer video in relation to my experience with weight loss. If you don't already know and you're new to this channel, I did lose 5.5 stone via calorie counting and a balanced diet. There is already a video posted to my channel which explains how I lost the weight, and if you are interested in this, it might be beneficial to go and watch that one first, as today's video is going to be a question and answer. And I've put out a post to you guys on my Instagram this week asking the kind of questions that you would like answered in relation to my weight loss and how I lost the weight. Now, thank you so much for everybody who sent questions in. I did get over 100 questions asked. What I don't want to do is sit here and waffle on for the next 4 hours. So I have condensed the questions down, tried to combine a few together, and I've also picked the most frequently asked, the ones that are asked all the time, and the ones that I think will be the most beneficial. If you are interested in weight loss, healthy weight loss, honest weight loss, anything to do with beauty and self-confidence, self-esteem, also covering mental health issues and body image, then please just press subscribe down below so that you can stay up to date when I post videos. I am new to this channel. I'm going to be posting once weekly. Anything more than that will just be a bonus. But if you press subscribe, you can hit the bell icon and you'll get a notification as to when I upload videos. So as I say, today it's going to be a question and answer video in relation to how I lost 5.5 stone through calorie counting. So the first question on my list is the one that I get asked all the time. It really is a really frequent, common question that I get asked, and it's how did I stay motivated to lose the weight, especially at the beginning, and what gave me the initial motivation. So the first thing I want to mention, and I don't want this to be sort of a negative comment or something that's demotivating to anybody, but it took me 10 years to find that motivation. I don't want anybody to think that I put on weight. I woke up and I decided to lose the weight and it was all easy. I was 28 when I started losing weight. I'd been overweight right from my teenage years and I had a lot of failed diet attempts. The problem, what I was doing wrong, was I was trying to find a diet rather than trying to find a lifestyle change. So I was following a lot of fad diets, shake diets, juice diets. I remember once spending hundreds of pounds getting bottles of juice delivered to the house and you ate nothing else but this juice, and it made me so ill. And I really don't recommend any of these kind of fad diets to anybody anymore. But what I did this time was I got into the mindset that it was going to be a lifestyle change. I wasn't looking for results in a week's time. I wasn't looking for results in a month's time. I focused more on my health. I wanted to get healthy and I wanted to make this a lifestyle change. And calorie counting, it can be quite time consuming, can be something that's quite a bit of effort. So if you are looking at changing your lifestyle instead of forming a diet, even if calorie counting isn't for you, counting every single calorie, have an awareness of calories, the sort of choices that we have to make during the day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. If you can have awareness of roughly how many calories are in there and how many calories you should be putting in your body and how many calories are coming out, that can be a really helpful tip with changing your lifestyle. It's just having that awareness of calories. The other thing I think why I was more motivated this time and why I'd failed in the past is that I didn't understand the simple science behind calories in, calories out. What I was doing was eating what I thought was healthy foods. So I was following different diet plans where I was having to cut out carbs and sugars. You know, I couldn't eat chocolate or ice cream or pizza because those are bad foods for you. And if you're trying to lose weight, you can only eat healthy foods. Where my mindset changed this time with calorie counting was that I could still eat anything I wanted. It was just the portion size and having an awareness of how many calories were in that as to how much I could eat. But by keeping my favourite things in my day-to-day diet, just even in small doses, it meant that I wasn't craving them. I wasn't more likely to give up and binge on them. I think it's really dangerous when we start to restrict certain foods. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be the same case for everybody. I do have friends that follow things like keto, which is a very low carb diet, and it works great for them. But for me, if you told me that I couldn't eat chips, I couldn't eat pizza, I couldn't eat chocolate, I couldn't eat ice cream, I would be thinking, when is this end date for this diet? How many weeks am I not allowed to eat these kind of foods for? Because I can't wait to start eating them again. So that's where you have to sort of look at it as a lifestyle change, that it's not sustainable to cut out all of your favourite things. So keeping them in your diet, even just in small doses, that was one of the biggest things for me that kept me motivated. I was still eating my favourite foods. So the second most common question that I was asked after putting this out there for your questions was about intermittent fasting. When I was originally losing weight, I was just calorie counting. I was kind of intermittent fasting where I would only eat between 12 o'clock at lunchtime and 8 o'clock in the evening. I wasn't actually intermittent fasting for the benefits or anything. I didn't know anything about intermittent fasting. I'd sort of fallen into that routine. because I'm not a breakfast person, so I used to wait till 12 o'clock, and if I only ate in an 8-hour window, I felt like I was eating a lot more. And that's something with calorie counting that you can find. If you are restricting how many calories you can eat, if you can do that in a smaller time frame, it feels like you're eating a lot more. However, if you do follow me on my Instagram page, I did try recently intermittent fasting in a more extreme way. And I was doing intermittent fasting for 22 hours a day and eating in a 2-hour window. I did a lot of research into it first and made sure I was doing it in a healthy and safe way. And I loved it. I had some great results from intermittent fasting. But what I do want to do is a separate video. I'm working on a video with intermittent fasting. There is a lot to cover when it comes to intermittent fasting, about why I did it, about the experience I had and the results I had, because I had some really good results with it. But I'm not going to cram it into just answering one question on here, because I need to do it justice with a separate video. I don't want to confuse anybody with intermittent fasting. I want to make sure if anybody tries it, they are doing it in a safe way. So I'm working on an intermittent fasting video at the moment. Keep your eyes peeled for that. I'm not going to cover it in here. But if you are interested in it, you can check out my Instagram page. There is a video there talking about the results that I had with intermittent fasting. It's on IGTV. You can have a look at that. There's also some posts on there, but do stay tuned. There will very shortly be a video up just covering intermittent fasting, because it deserves an entire video. So the next question that I get asked quite frequently is, do I still struggle with binge eating, and do I fall off the track? The honest answer for those, yes and yes. So we'll talk about binge eating first. I used to be your stereotypical emotional eater, binge eater, comfort eater, and I do still suffer with some of those qualities. It used to be that I was everyday binge eating. I had no awareness at all of what it was doing to my body, but I just love food so much that every day I would be buying my favourite foods. I would be enjoying them, especially in the evenings. I would be binging out, just overeating every single day. And a lot of it with me, it comes down to comfort and emotional eating. It's something that I do still struggle with. By going through calorie counting, obviously it gave me more of a structure, and sticking to that 1200 calories a day, when I stayed disciplined with that, it was great because it stopped me from binge eating. However, of course, I do have bad days. It's probably something I still need to work on, which is the more mental health side of weight loss. Is why I emotionally and comfort eat. It's not really a problem for me now, because I do allow myself every so often to do that. When I have my cheat nights, I allow myself to really enjoy the food, and I guess I do still get comfort from it, but I'll do that now once every couple of weeks rather than every day. I think when it comes to things like binge eating, if you are struggling with this every day, if it's something that is really affecting your health, like it was with mine, and I was gaining a lot of weight, it was also affecting me a lot mentally, it's potentially time to reach out and speak to somebody, because binge eating is an eating disorder, something that a lot of people struggle with. I'm now aware when I'm binge eating. If something in my life goes really wrong, or I have a sad day or something upsets me, and I go out and I buy all my favourite foods, I have an awareness, this is binge eating. This is me trying to make myself feel better through food, and I'll sort of allow myself that evening to do it, and then from the next day I'll be back on track. But I think the danger is when you're doing it every day, and when you don't have that sort of awareness of what binge eating is, and you're not able to recognise a binge, because it just becomes part of your daily routine. And that's potentially a point to reach out and start to speak to somebody. It's not silly approaching somebody, a charity, a GP, a doctor, and saying, I have a problem with binge eating. It's not you being greedy. They're not going to laugh at you, because it actually is an eating disorder. So please reach out, speak to somebody if you are struggling with that. My honest answer, yes, I do occasionally still binge. I think that will potentially be something with me for the rest of my life. I still do get comfort from food. However, going from doing that every day to once every few weeks, for me is success. But it is, it's still, if I'm being honest, something that I still need to work on myself. My experience with weight loss isn't over. My journey with it, it's going to be something that's going to be with me the rest of my life, and I'm still continuing to grow and learn. So that is still something to be worked on. So when it comes to falling off track, that's not really a term that I like. Because falling off track, to me, it sounds like you've put an end game, or you've finished what you're trying to do. And what I was trying to do was not trying to diet, it was trying to change my lifestyle. So having a few days where I fell off track, to me, that's completely normal, human, and that's what kept it sustainable. Falling off track, I think when you're following something like a diet plan and you put pressure on yourself that there's 10 days where you have to follow this shred for or something. Yes, if you fall off plan for a couple of days there, you're not going to get the same results that this diet plan is offering you. I think that's where diet plans can be quite dangerous, because we need to look at it as a lifestyle where there isn't an end game with it, and you allow yourself a couple of days to fall off track. If you have a few days where you eat a lot more calories than you should be, you're not counting your calories, you're eating everything you like, you have some comfort food, that's not going to affect your weight loss goals in the long run if you're only doing that every so often. Weight isn't gained overnight from having a few bad days eating, just like weight isn't lost overnight by having a few days healthy eating. And that's something to get in the mindset, is it's consistency, and it takes a long time. If you have a couple of days, even one big night where you have a blowout and you eat everything you like, you might weigh a pound extra the next day, that's going to come back down. So yes, I do fall off track. I certainly do have days which aren't pre-planned cheat days where I end up eating everything I want. Life is normal. We have events that we have out there. We have birthdays, we have Christmas, we have parties. Some days we just need to emotionally eat. So yeah, I do fall off track. I don't beat myself up for it. What I do is I just try the next day. So another common question that I get asked a lot is, did I hit a plateau in my weight loss? And yes, all the time. For those of you who don't know what a plateau is, when it comes to weight loss, it's when your weight loss starts to slow down or it could stall completely. So if you're someone like me who used to weigh myself every day, I would have sort of a record of how much weight I'd lost each week. So I might lose 2 pounds in a week, and then suddenly I'd hit 4 weeks where I wouldn't lose anything. My weight just would not shift. Even though I wasn't doing anything to justify that, I was still doing exactly what I had been doing before. I was making sure I was in a calorie deficit. I may have been exercising a little bit more, doing whatever I can to try to shift those few pounds, but nothing was working. And that's what a weight loss plateau is, when things just sort of hold up and stall for a while. Now that happened to me a lot, not so much in the beginning, but certainly after about 6 months. It took me 9 months to lose my weight, and towards the end of that I did suffer with quite a few weight loss plateaus. And I did a lot of research on them, and they are so normal, and it happens to everybody. Weight loss really isn't a straight line. You'll know that if you've gone through losing quite a large amount of weight, that it doesn't just drop down consistently. Sometimes you'll have gains, sometimes you won't lose anything. Now, a few tips that got me out of my weight loss plateaus is a cheat meal. And it sounds crazy, but eating more seemed to kickstart things again. If I wasn't losing weight, if it had been a couple of weeks and I wasn't seeing any results, if those pounds weren't dropping, I would give myself a big cheat night, a blowout. I wouldn't count a single calorie. I get asked that a lot as well. Do I count calories on cheat day? Absolutely not. I don't want to know how many calories I'm having. But I would have a big blowout with food. And then usually over the next couple of days following that, it would start to kickstart and bring my weight down a little bit more. Consistency is key. I know it can be really demotivating when it's been a couple of weeks and you haven't seen any results, especially when you were seeing results to begin with. You're not doing anything wrong unless you're starting to gain weight. If you're in a weight loss plateau and then you start to see the weight creep up, it may be time to reevaluate your calories. It's very easy to underestimate how many calories we're eating sometimes if you don't weigh everything. I've said it before, things like cooking with oil. People might not count the calories in the oil that they're using. However, oil is very high calorie. If you're not counting things like tea and coffee, but you have sugar in there and you have a latte and you have a lot of milk, there's a lot of hidden calories out there. So although you might think you're only eating 1200, 1400, 1600 calories, actually there can be quite a few hundred calories that can be added on without us even realizing. Alcohol is a great example of hidden calories. Sometimes people think, oh, I'm just having one gin and tonic or a couple of glasses of wine. There can be a lot of calories in those. So if you are stuck in a weight loss plateau and then you start to notice that your weight is creeping up again, could be time just to reevaluate your calories on that one. But if you're not gaining and you are still just stuck in this plateau, just stick with it. I know it's really difficult and it can be demotivating, but if you are definitely in a calorie deficit, at some point that's going to pick back up again. So cheat days, consistency. You can also try adding a little bit of exercise. For me, I wasn't really exercising at all as I lost the weight. But if you are sick of being stuck in a plateau and you want to see some results quicker, go for a walk. You know, if you can incorporate 3 or 4 walks into your lifestyle each week, it's something I do a lot now. I love walking. I think it's very underrated. But try just kickstarting it with a little bit of exercise. It's trial and error. I do understand how demotivating it is. Yes, I get plateaus all the time. I still do now. It's completely normal. If you are struggling from these, you're not on your own. Do some research into it. And my biggest tip is have a cheat meal. So another question that comes up a lot is, what kind of exercise do I do and what's my workout routine? If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see that I don't tend to post a regular workout routine because I really don't have one. When I started losing weight, I wasn't exercising at all. When I was calorie counting, I didn't incorporate exercise into that. I do exercise now, and I found a bit more of a passion for exercise. However, I go through phases with it. I'm not a big gym bunny. So some days or some weeks, I will go weeks where I will exercise every day. I'm quite lucky that my parents do have a home gym. I have a stepdad who's very into his fitness, so I do have a lot of equipment that I can use here. And I'll go through weeks where I'll be on the treadmill, I'll be doing the weights, and I'll be really into it, and I'll see some results. And then I'll go weeks where I won't even step foot into the gym or do any kind of exercise. So I do go through phases with it. What I do like to do a lot is walking, and walking is so underrated. It's so good for you. It comes with so many benefits physically and mentally. So I walk a lot. I try to go on at least 3 to 4 walks every week. And what I do try to do sometimes is I push myself with walking to walk as far as I can, and I do sometimes 20k walks. Now that's a lot, and it takes usually about 4 hours to complete. I don't recommend doing it every day. I certainly couldn't do it every day. My body would be falling apart. I'd be knackered. But once every week or two, I try to do a 20k walk. It burns about 1,000 calories walking for 4 hours. But it is brutal. Please don't go straight in with a 20k walk. Work your way up to it. Start off with a 5k, push yourself, see if you can do a 10k, then a 15, and then ultimately a 20. But walking is very underrated. You don't need to be running, you don't need to be jogging, you don't need to be moving fast to be burning calories. If you can just get out and do even a 10 to 20 minute walk a day, and you did that every day, you would start to notice some results. Now I do like weights. I do like lifting weights. I'm not a big fan of cardio. So my workout routine when I'm on it and when I'm in the gym is I will usually do about a 20-minute jog on the treadmill. I'll jog until I hit about 150, 200 calories, and that's sort of my warm-up as I'll use the treadmill. Then I'll just follow a simple circuits routine with the weights. You can find these on YouTube. I'm quite lucky, as I say, to have a stepdad who's into fitness, so he's shown me how to do things correctly and beneficially. But things like lifting weights, squats, tummy tucks, you can find all of these on YouTube, but I'll usually do about a 40-minute circuit with some weights. That's about all I do. There's not really any sports that I'm into. I do like swimming when I can. I am actually looking forward to the gyms opening. We're still in the pandemic at the moment. The gyms are closed. I've never had a gym membership in my life. I use the gym at my parents' house. But what I'm looking at doing once the pandemic's over and the gyms are opening, it's the first time I've told myself in my life I am going to sign up to the gym. I'm hoping it'll keep me more motivated, and instead of me going through these phases with exercise that I enjoy, to try to keep me constant with going to the gym. So a question that I had was, how do I get myself back on track after a few bad days off? Getting back on track, it can be hard. I find that when I have a few days sort of off plan, when I pig out and I eat whatever I like, my hunger levels go through the roof. So if I had 2 days like I have just done this weekend, wasn't calorie counting, ate whatever I liked, ate probably far too much, the day after that I'll wake up feeling hungry, and that's not something I usually do. So I do struggle a little bit with hunger there, and it's just getting through that first day or two. So what I try to do to get myself back on track is I just try my best. So say I had an event at the weekend, Saturday, Sunday I ate whatever I liked. Monday I woke up hungry, but I said, no, I'm going to stick to my 1,200 calories. I would calorie count. If I needed a few more calories, if I suddenly put it up and I thought, no, I'm really hungry, or I'm slipping off a little bit and I had 1,800 calories, okay, I'm not going to beat myself up. Tuesday I'm going to try again and bring it back down. So sometimes it can just take a couple of days to adjust, but as long as I'm trying my best, if I go over my 1,200 calories, and this is me talking about when I was losing weight with 1,200 calories. At the moment I do eat a little bit more than that, and that's something I'll get onto in a maintenance video. But in the mindset of me eating 1,200 calories a day, if I had a couple of days off, getting back off track, it can take a day or two to do so. Don't beat yourself up, just try your best until you're back on track. A really nice question that's popped up a few times as well is people just asking, how am I during this weird time? We're in a pandemic. How am I work-wise, and how am I dealing with this lockdown that we've been in? Honestly, I'm all right. Thank you very much to those people who have actually asked how I am. I feel like, I mean, we've been in lockdown now for, sort of about 3 months. So hopefully we're coming towards the tail end of it. But I feel like during lockdown, I have managed to keep myself pretty positive. I've been all right. I've been in a very, very lucky position where I've been furloughed from work. So I have been getting a regular paycheck. I've been able to spend time with my family. I've sort of worked on myself a bit. I've got into intermittent fasting, which has been great. It's given me time to do that. So I've been all right. I've had obviously a few down days. I think that everybody is entitled to having down days during this pandemic. Keeping our mental health in check is really important, but I feel like I've been okay, and I've handled it quite well. When it comes to my job, obviously I've been furloughed at the moment. I am cabin crew, and the travel and aviation industry has taken a massive, massive blow through this. Unfortunately, my company did announce that there will be redundancies this year. At the moment, I don't know anything in terms of my own safety with the job. I've been with the company a long time. I don't know how safe I am. All we can do is a waiting game, keep positive, try not to think about the worst case scenario. So yeah, that's something that's over my head a little bit, is not particularly knowing what's going to happen with my job. At the moment, I don't even have a start date with when I'm going to go back, so I'm sort of furloughed for the foreseeable future at the moment. But yeah, just keeping myself positive, and I am all right, and I really appreciate you asking that. So someone's asked me for a chocolate alternative. I have a really sweet tooth. I love chocolate. But what is my best chocolate alternative? And it is definitely Waitrose frozen chocolate yogurt. Now, I'm not a massive frozen yogurt fan. I don't really like the twang or the sort of tanginess that can come with frozen yogurt. I'd rather have ice cream. But I promise you, Waitrose own Belgian chocolate frozen yogurt doesn't taste like frozen yogurt. It tastes like chocolate ice cream. It's low calorie. You can eat the whole pot for it's about 300 or 400 calories for the entire big tub. It's always my go-to in the evenings when I want something sweet or chocolate, is the Waitrose frozen chocolate yogurt. Only costs £2 for a tub as well. It's not one of these ridiculously overpriced low-calorie alternatives for ice cream, but that is definitely my chocolate go-to. Following on from that as well is a lot of people have asked for some low-calorie meal and snack ideas. Again, as I've said with the intermittent fasting, I'm going to be filming a video on my favourite low-calorie ideas. There is just too much to cover in a video like this, but I will mention that my favourite low-calorie snacks, grenade bars. I'm an absolute sucker for grenade bars. I love them. I eat a lot of chicken satay, so you can find these either frozen in the supermarkets. You can get sort of the party food chicken satays, or you can find the fresh chicken satays. I love them. I love them for snacking. They're a good source of protein. But my ultimate favourite low-calorie snack is a Krispy Kreme donut. Always shocks people when they hear that I still eat things like Krispy Kreme donuts, but the original glazed donut is only 200 calories. So I can easily work that into being my snack, afternoon snack, or I can have it as a dessert. So that's my favourite low-calorie snack. That's one that surprised me that it's only 200 calories, but I will be doing a separate video where I can do a lot more justice explaining to you the kind of meals and snacks that I like. So a question that came up that I love is, what non-scale victories have you had? And for anyone who's not aware of what a non-scale victory is, I remember when I first started my Instagram account, somebody asked me that and I had no idea what they were talking about. But it just means something that you're proud of, or something that's happened, a victory, something that you can celebrate that's not to do with the scales. So for me, my biggest non-scale victory was the confidence in having my arms out. It's something that my entire life I've been very nervous about. I went years without ever having my arms out. Even in summer I'd put a cardigan over, or I'd wear a shirt. But certainly over the last year I've had the confidence to do so. So that's my biggest non-scale victory, is being able to have the confidence to finally wear my arms out. Another one is I ran Race for Life last year. I know it's only 5k. But that was a big thing for me in terms of having the confidence to put myself forward for something like that. And I ran it with my family and friends, and it was one of the best days I've ever had. We raised a lot of money for charity, but just taking part in a physical activity like that was something I wouldn't have done before. So running Race for Life, that was awesome. And another one, so if you follow the Instagram account, you'll know that one of the reasons that sort of gave me a little bit of initial motivation, a bit of a turning point for me, was I'd had a date with a guy a couple of times when I was at my heaviest. And I'd been out with this guy a couple of times, and he'd messaged me saying that I was lovely, but I was too fat. That was his words. I was too fat for him. I was too overweight. So sort of a thanks but no thanks, and very bluntly saying, it's because you're too overweight for me. Now this guy, I don't know what YouTube's like with language on here, so there's a lot of words that I could use for him, but I'm going to refrain. I'm going to keep it sort of as PC as I can. This guy wasn't a very nice guy. So that was a bit of a turning point for me. And then over the next 9 months, I managed to lose the weight. Now, I'm not saying I lost the weight because of him. I lost the weight for me. But it was a very nice feeling after 9 months to send him an image of myself after losing 5.5 stone. There may have been a middle finger up in the image, but it was an image of me looking very different, sending him that. And I think I thanked him for what he said to me, because he changed my life and the motivation that he gave me. So that was a bit of a victory for me, being able to send that picture, and hopefully it just being a little bit of a kick to someone who deserved it. So nighttime snacking, that's a question that's come up a lot. How do I deal with nighttime snacking? What's any tips or tricks I can give with that? So when I was calorie counting and losing the weight, I was only eating between 12 o'clock lunchtime and 8 o'clock in the evening. And I found that being really strict with the hours that I was eating really helps me, because come 8 o'clock, I was really strict in saying, no, that's it. That's just where willpower and self-discipline come in. But that really helped me, as giving myself a time in the evening to stop eating. And for me, that was 8 o'clock. There are little tips and tricks like keeping yourself busy. If you can do anything that sort of involves your hands or keeping busy, some place that you wouldn't eat. So I always have a bath in the evening. So I would finish eating at 8 o'clock. And I'll go and have a bath, because typically we don't eat in the bath. I don't have access to food in the bath. I would do a lot of sort of pampering things. I'm quite girly. I like my face masks, foot scrubs, that kind of thing, just to keep me busy. And also obviously brushing your teeth. That's a tip that people use a lot. Once you've brushed your teeth, it sort of symbolises you finished eating for the day. It also can make food taste different. So if you have just brushed your teeth, you're less likely to go and eat something. Herbal teas. I really like chamomile tea, peppermint tea, green tea. I'm a fan of all of them except lemon tea. So that would sort of keep me content in the evening. You've got something there to sip on. But there were times in the evening when I really was hungry and I was tempted to go to the kitchen and sort of binge on foods or give up on that day and sort of write it off. But to keep me more on track, what I would do is I would eat no sugar jellies and boiled sweets. So if I got to the point when most days I would try not to eat after 8 at all, but if I really was going to eat after 8, if I was really, really struggling, what I would do is I would eat the no sugar jelly pots, because they're only a few calories each. You can get the Hartley's ones, sort of the most well-known ones. A lot of supermarkets do their own brands now. But just the little jelly pots that are very low calorie. They're about 3 calories each. You could eat 10 of them and it wouldn't even affect your calories for the day, really. And boiled sweets. Just sucking on boiled sweets, because they keep you occupied for a long time. It's the same kind of thing with the ice pops as well. They can only be about 10 calories each for the long ice pops that you buy. Just chuck them in the freezer, forget that they're in there. And if you're really struggling, it's just something to give you that little sweet fix and just keep your mouth occupied in the evening if you are struggling. I was asked what my favourite cheat meal and my favourite low calorie meal is. So I'll start with the low calorie meal. My favourite low calorie meal is anything with teriyaki sauce. It's a tip that I use all the time on my Instagram account. If you can keep these ingredients in the house, you will always have something to go to. So you can make teriyaki sauce very, very easily. If you can keep some light soy sauce, honey, Chinese 5-spice, garlic powder and corn flour, they can all stay in the fridge or the cupboard, and the sell-by dates are so long on them you can put them in there and forget about them. It's not fresh food that's going to go out of date. I then keep some frozen chicken strips in the freezer, just the pre-cooked ones, and some rice in the cupboard, and there I have a really easy but tasty meal. Teriyaki sauce is very easy to make just by combining the soy sauce, the honey, a teaspoonful of corn flour, half a teaspoon of garlic and half a teaspoon of Chinese 5-spice, which is a powder that can be found in supermarkets. Just mix those all together, add a little bit of water. Cook off your chicken or your prawn or your tofu or your vegetables, whatever sort of base you're using for the meal. Fry that off in a wok. Add in the teriyaki sauce on a low heat, let it go sticky, let it thicken, and then I just serve it over rice. And it's one of my favourite meals. Put a little bit of spring onion over the top. You can sprinkle some sesame seeds on. Usually comes in about 400 to 500 calories, depending how much you use, how big a portion you have. But if you can keep those ingredients in, if you don't have any fresh food and you haven't been shopping, you've always got a really easy, tasty meal there. I really like sort of Chinese-inspired food. So teriyaki sauce, check out my Instagram account and you can find the recipe for that and how I make it. My favourite cheat meal is definitely TGI Fridays, Jack Daniel's sesame chicken strips. I go nuts for that. That will be my last meal on earth. If I had to pick one, obviously TGI Fridays have been closed for a while now. You can get deliveries, but there's not one anywhere near me, so I'm looking forward to having that. The next question that's come up is, did I cut carbs? Did I follow keto? Did I count macros? On Instagram, there is a big misconception that I followed keto. There's a lot of pages out there that are advertising keto. There's a god-awful page under the name Sarah Nutritionist, something like that, under the name Sarah, which steal the pictures all the time. They steal my before and after pictures, they post them, and they take credit for it being keto or their diet plan. Just to put out a disclaimer, I have never in my life followed a diet plan like that. I never signed up and paid money for anything like keto. The only diet plan I've ever followed was about 5 years ago. I did a really stupid juice diet. But these diet plans, these 21-day plans that you see online, especially for things like keto, no, I've never followed them. I'm not anti-keto in any way at all, because it works for people and I have friends that it's worked for. But for me, I never ever cut carbs. When it comes to calorie counting, I think you naturally eat slightly less carbs than you were before, because carbs tend to be higher in calories. But I've never cut carbs. I love pasta, I love potato, I love rice, and I never will cut carbs. By keeping them in my diet, it's kept me on plan with keeping my calories in check. So no, I've never followed keto. And also, just to touch on macros, I did touch on that before. No, I've never counted macros. I still feel like I am perfectly fit and healthy. I've managed to have big success with weight loss. My health's a lot better. And I didn't count macros ever. As I say, the only thing I keep in check is my protein, but I simply counted calories, not macros. So the last question that I want to answer, and I feel like it's a good one to end with as well, is how have I kept up being consistent, and how have I found maintaining? Now, maintaining is something that I want to do a separate video on, because it's quite a big thing to cover. There's a lot of topics to go into with that. But how have I found maintaining my weight since I lost the 5.5 stone? Now, it's not what people want to hear. It's not what I would have wanted to have heard. But for me personally, maintaining has been harder than losing. There's good and there's bad sides with my maintenance journey. When I was losing the weight and I was counting my calories every single day, and I was on plan, I sort of had goals that I was working towards, and I had a bit of a plan of sticking to the 1200 calories. It was easier for me. But sticking to 1200 calories a day isn't sustainable. At some point, you sort of have to enter the maintenance phase. I got to a weight that I was relatively happy with. During maintenance, my weight has jumped up and down. It tends to be sort of half a stone each way. So there's sort of a stone leeway that I work with. Sometimes when I put a little bit of weight on, I sort of might put half a stone on and be sitting about half a stone heavier than I want to be. I need to remind myself and keep myself in check that you are still 5 stone lighter than you were, and sort of look at the bigger picture with it. But maintenance, I've tried a few different things. What I tend to do to maintain is I count my calories sort of half the week, and I do what I call mindful eating half the week. So I don't want to now count my calories every day. Now that I'm in maintenance phase, I really credit counting my calories every day to initially losing that weight. But I don't want to be tied to counting calories every day for the rest of my life. I needed to do it to lose the weight. Now I'm maintaining, I tend to do 3 to 4 days a week where I count my calories around about 1400 a day. 3 to 4 days where I don't count them. And what I mean by mindful eating is just having an awareness of what I'm eating, trying to make good choices, enjoying myself as well. And if I want to go out and have tea and cake, I'll go out and have tea and cake, and it doesn't matter how many calories are in that. But then I might be a bit more mindful when it comes to dinner, what I have that way. So mindful eating for me is just having an awareness. I don't go too much into things like intuitive eating and working out on a scale how hungry I am. I think we can start to really then overthink weight loss as well. But mindful eating for me is just trying to make good choices. But yeah, maintenance can be difficult. I feel like there's quite a bit of pressure on you as well to not gain the weight back. That's one thing I found with having a large social media account. There's a good and a bad side to it. There's a good side that it keeps me in check and it keeps me motivated to keep the weight off, but it can be quite a lot of pressure sometimes on there. However, maintenance as well for me, on the flip side, is a lot more freeing. I feel a lot more free from calorie counting now that I'm maintaining, not just losing, because I'm not having to count my calories every single day. If I hadn't have counted my calories every single day and kept myself really strict, I don't think I would have lost the weight. So I'm not saying that calorie counting is a negative thing for me, but it is a lot more freeing now being able to sort of have half the week or have days when I'm not calorie counting. But maintenance is something I will do a video with. Intermittent fasting is something I've got really into with maintenance, and as I say, that's going to be a completely separate video because I don't have time on a video like this to explain the whole thing to you. But maintenance, one of the main things learning with it is we're never going to be happy. I'm never going to be completely happy with my body. I thought there was going to be an end goal for me when I said, okay, this is enough and I'm happy with my body and I'll never have to watch what I eat again because I've got down to where I want to be and it's going to be easy now. Maintenance has been a journey for me about learning that this is going to go on for the rest of my life. I'll probably have to battle my weight the rest of my life. I'll have to keep it in check. I'll have to find new ways to keep myself healthy and at the weight I want. And actually this is going to go on probably for the rest of my life. So becoming a lot more self-acceptant of that issue, that maintenance is going to be a lifelong journey for me. But it is a lot more freeing than calorie counting every day. So that brings me to the end of the questions that I've come up with. I'm really sorry if I've waffled there. If you were just looking for one point in particular, I hope you managed to find it. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I really wanted to do the question and answer because instead of me just sitting here talking about the things that I think you might want to hear, actually it lets you guys hear exactly what you want answered. Potentially I'll do another question and answer video shortly again because there are more questions that I could have covered in there. I hope I got a bulk of them and I managed to give you guys the information that you wanted. Check out the Instagram account. You can do it under Hayley's Weight Loss Journey with a kiss at the end for any of the topics that I've covered in this video. If you are interested in more videos like this, obviously they're not all going to be question and answer videos. The next one coming up will be an intermittent fasting video. I'm working on that now. I really want to get that out there ASAP because I get a lot of questions about that. So hit subscribe, give it a thumbs up if you liked this video. Hope everybody's keeping safe and well. Again, thank you so much for sending all of your questions in, and an extra special thank you to those people who just asked how I am as well. I really appreciate that. So keep safe, keep well guys, and I really hope to see you back in another video soon.